Okay, guys. So as you guys see, the kind of concept that I'm pulling here is we are using pretty much the 30 card spread, right? The past, present, future. We use that on our website to give you guys a general overview of your situation, not to be specific of any sort. So of course you're like, okay, we're pulling 3 cards. What the heck? Well, you see the other 2 cards for under each card, each placement. This is to give us an internal or a more in-depth look on what your situation is being presented to you. Okay, so I do want you guys to, get the most out of our readings. So out of my readings anyway. So I really wanted you guys to go ahead. I really wanted to actually pull extra cards. So you have an internal portion and a external portion to look at in the present moment how you feel, in the present moment how the external world and yourself is being affected. And this goes along with each category. So we're just going to go ahead and start. Now, for the present here, you have the Tower. Now, the Tower is communicating a lot of change indeed, a radical change that you probably hadn't even seen coming, to be absolutely straight up with you. Okay, and I really feel like this had a lot to do with how you guys were stable-wise, self-esteem wise. This had a lot of change going on, and it kind of came out of nowhere, the blue. Now you're having to kind of take the time out to really look within and research yourself, pretty much, if that makes sense. Relearn yourself, go back into find the answers that you're looking for, because all the problems that you have possibly right now have a lot to do with how you see yourself, how in being the Leo that you are, right? Being that royal. And you have all the answers necessary within yourself, especially with the certain turmoils that you're currently facing potentially. And it's just all about getting your mind in the on the right track to getting you back to where you want to be. Now, in the future, you have the Sun, so you have clarity. A lot of people say this is the Leo card. The Sun is ruled by Leo, so this is a card that really represents the shine, the light, and to be able to see all things. This is really showing you guys that the future comes with clarity, where darkness is no longer the predominant situation, where you have light over all situations. You guys can see the path towards potential happiness. You have clarity within yourself and with your situation. So this process here, we're going to go ahead and jump into this. Now, starting with the past here with the Tower, you internally felt like the King of Pentacles. You felt very stable, potentially. I feel like you guys were you guys understood your worth. You guys knew how much you were worth, but especially when this Tower was happening, I feel like you guys had a better idea of what you were worth because of this Tower. Now, for a lot of you guys were also working extremely hard because of the Tower. You guys were really hard workers, very dedicated and focused on building a legacy, building a foundation, building some sort of financial stability for yourself and your family. You guys are also very family oriented as well, very family focused, potentially, and you had a lot of things going on potentially within the home. Now, externally, you had the Ten of Wands. So you guys were actually really picking up the pieces here, burdened with a lot of responsibility, a lot of tasks, but this is still something that you're not necessarily upset about, not necessarily like, oh my God, X, Y, and Z, right? I feel like, honestly, with the Ten of Wands, you are still very much invested in what you guys are putting effort towards to completing this cycle. This is an end of a cycle here. The Tower brought it down to, all the way down to, like, hey, you got to start over now. That's pretty much what the Tower does. Starts everything over. So with the Tower coming up, I do get the sense that, yeah, there was a lot of stuff to clean up. There's a lot of tasks put on your plate, but you are very much invested in what it is that you're committed to, because the King of Pentacles is committed. He doesn't break that chain. He's very solid. He's very fixed. So most importantly, you guys have committed to something, and externally you're doing the work to fix it. You're exhausted, you're tired, but you're so committed to whatever it is that you're burdened from, rather, that the Ten of Wands is not only it's not tiring, but it's tiring, yes, but you're still very focused on getting the solution, getting to the end of the cycle, and just wrapping things up. Now, presently, you have the Hermit. Now, that shifts all the way to looking within yourself, finding inner confidence, finding your inner power, and having everything that you need already with you. Now, internally, you guys feel left out in the cold, feeling like you're struggling constantly, and you have a lot, there's a lot of lacking in your situation. It's lack of stability, lack of support, lack of emotional support. You guys could potentially be in a relationship where there's someone that's focusing very much on finances, and you are left on the wayside, right? You're kind of like, okay, well, you can have all the money in the world, we can have all the money in the world, but what about us? What about the connection that we have? Because that's still something that we need to build and make sure that's on a healthy strain. So for the Hermit, I feel like this could potentially even be about about yourself in regards to how you feel about yourself. Potentially, this is the poverty card, so you could be struggling with feeling stable within yourself. You're constantly working, constantly trying to potentially find a solution, but you feel a lot of lack. Like I said, in yourself. The Hermit is really focusing on you, so that's why I always kind of throw it back to the you, because this is all about introspection. This is about the individual. When the Hermit comes up, that is the essence of finding your way through dark times, taking yourself and yourself alone and going through that, the creases of our mind, or the concaves in our mind where it's dark and it's unpleasant, and survive those things to find the lights. So we have this bit of light here, the star, actually, because there is a star in the cage. If you guys look very closely, there is a star here. And after the star, right? Well, after the tower is the star. So I feel like you guys are trying to utilize the star and find the parts in yourself that needs healing. Okay? And what needs healing potentially has a lot to do with your worth, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the situation, feeling left out in the cold, why you feel left out in the cold, and how to fix it. In turn, externally, you guys are losing sleep. You guys are not really able to see the situation for how it truly is, because there's a lot of stress on your head. There's a lot of stuff going on. You're having to fix a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff on your head and on your back. And you guys are trying to really figure out what you guys need within yourselves to overcome the situation. And I feel like the advice that I can definitely give you with the cards that are presented to me is that you want to look at you want to look at what's going on. You want to look at what's happening, why you feel left out in the cold, and what you can do to fix it. What can you do to mend those bridges? Most importantly, utilizing the light that you have to reflect on those things that are not satisfying and that's not providing you with the stability that you're looking for. That's what the Hermit's light is for, to shine the light on the things that are dark. And honestly, when we have situations like this and we don't know what's going on, that's what a friend of mine calls rabbit holes. You have to jump through those and find your way through to the source, to the problem, and then heal that issue, heal it. But I feel like this has a lot to do with your confidence. Again, like I said, with your self-worth. You may be feeling not too great about yourself. You may be feeling pretty low, and it's causing you to feel very depressed about, your situation. And it's about restoring the worth that you have, restoring how you feel about yourself. And I know this is supposed to be a love reading, but this is a love reading, right? Your self-love is love in itself. It shouldn't be its own category. So I feel like ultimately, Leo, your self-worth is so big, but you can't see it because it's so dark right now, and everything is also very overwhelming and stressful, and it's hard to see where you do shine, where you have put in the dedication and you have dedicated, you didn't commit to people, you committed to yourself, that you are going to build a relationship or build a situation with people. So in essence, you committed to yourself ultimately. Yes, you committed to the person somehow, but through yourself. You always commit through yourself, always. So I feel like you have to find within yourself your confidence. And sometimes it's okay to have communication and talking with people and seeking help, perhaps. Because if there's something mentally going on, I would always suggest taking the time out to find someone that's professional who can help you. But I'm not necessarily talking necessarily about professional help. I do feel like there could be professional help here that's needed, that you may need, because you have a lot on your plate and you don't really necessarily have a healthy party to communicate with, potentially. There's not a lot of healthy influence here. So I do feel like potentially, if you can, go ahead and find a therapist, go ahead and find a counselor, and spill your problems. Let them know what's going on, and they can help you in other ways to help you find solutions. But pretty much guide you back to yourself. But I do feel like you don't have to do this alone. The hermit, he knows everything he needs to know, and he's very confident in his ability to find the solutions. But I do have this feeling that there's a lot of lack in yourself, and it's causing you stress and anxiety. These two energies in itself are very contradictory, right? This is very self-doubting, there's a lot of doubts, self-doubting, depression, a lot of low energy. And he comes from a place of a very neutral to high energy because he has confidence in himself to find those things. And I feel like he knows the way back from the path that he's going to go on, right? So it's all about help here. So you may need to help. You may need to get some help from somebody. But more importantly, guys, if you feel like you're stable enough to handle your own situation, it's time to look at what it is that's making you feel left out in the cold and address those things, because you feel that way. No one else will make you feel that way. And this has a lot to do with boundaries as well. If you have proper boundaries set in place for you to receive the necessary functions in a relationship, then things will clear up. But it's all about finding what you need to reestablish better and healthier practices within your relationship, so you don't feel like you're left out in the cold or you're all alone. Okay? Now, in the future, I do see the suns. You get clarity from the situation. There's a lot of stuff going on with the 5 of Pentacles and the 9 of Swords. It's a lot of things that are happening. But I do feel like at the end of the day, with the star in your hand, you will find the darkness and shine that light on it. And that light is the sun. It just shines everything. It opens up doors. It opens up windows. It lets that spring breeze in to freshen the air. And I feel like with the sun, with you looking deep within yourself, because it's going to take some time to retrospect as well, right? Whether this is with therapy or without therapy. And I only brought up the therapy thing because you could just help potentially around you at this time. But this retrospection with the light, it shines on everything. And I feel you guys will be able to find the opportunity, find what you need to do to get yourself back on track, to feel more capable of handling your situation with your free will, right? To really utilize the free will that you guys have. Fire signs, Leos, you guys utilize your ability to do what you can do, and it's beautiful. You guys are very well-rounded people, because you guys can utilize thoughts. You guys can utilize your emotions. You understand the physical and getting things done physically and putting your effort into it, as well as understanding the logical and the truth. So you guys are very, I see 5 signs. It's not just, passion and fire and hot-headedness or anything like that. It's more of being very well-rounded and being able to tap into all the elements, because passion is nothing but emotion that you use towards action. Okay? So, I do feel like, guys, you will gain clarity in your situation, but you have to look within. You have to find those craters in your mind. You have to go down those rabbit holes and shine the light at the source of what the problem is and heal that energy, because it could be incorrect, it could be wrong, and honestly, I feel like deep down you know it. That's why you have to look for it, because you're like, hey, something's going on, and you know what? This ain't true. I am amazing. I am better than this. I am capable of doing all things. Whatever's stressing you out, it's stressing you out for X, Y, and Z reasons, but we're going to find a solution here. The sun comes up, right? So internally, when the sun comes up, you have the 8 of Swords. These are two very contradicting energies. Again, there's clarity in all things. This is the ultimate energy here, but then you have internally, you feel still as though you can't see ahead, that there's still other things that are keeping you from making those moves, right? The thoughts that are keeping you from making those moves. You feel trapped in your thoughts. And I do feel like at this point here with the 8, considering this is a minor arcana, You want to be careful with this because it's going to require you to look outside of the box, and you have to ignore the thoughts that come up because those thoughts are not helping you to make the necessary moves forward. Okay, so it's important to look forward rather than to listen to the negative information or feedback that your brain might be giving you. Because externally, you're looking for another way. You're at a crossroads. You can't make any moves forward. And I feel like that's the point. I feel like you constantly want to move forward, but you can't. You have to make a left or right decision. You have to make that decision and then go for it. Take it by the reins and go for it. With the Two of Wands, I feel the same way. You wanted to make the decision, make the decision of where you want to go because you have this clarity, but you have no idea which one to pick. There is no wrong answer in the future. So with that being said, with that being, there's no wrong answer, I feel like when you reach this crossroad, when you reach this situation where you happen to pick a certain option and then run with it, you want to trust yourself 100%. Because I feel like at the end of the day, the Eight of Swords comes up because there is something that's lacking. And it's trusting yourself to be able to handle the situation, despite with the precautions, the warning signs, the dangers, whatever, the doubts that may come up for you. Let's go ahead and pull for your whispers of love for the week. Wow, I have not seen this card before. Treasure your loved ones. It's important to love others deeply. Wow, amazing. Spending time with family can definitely help too and heal a lot of wounds, especially children. Children are beautiful, and especially Cancer children. They're very wonderful. So, spending time with people, spending time with love, with family, I really feel like that is a key component, right? Especially when I was saying that you don't have to do anything alone. You don't have to be by yourself when it comes to this situation. You have to, you don't have to always carry the burden on your own back. Especially if this is a situation where there is a family involved or this is a relationship. You want to utilize the relationship the best that you can. Now, if there's a lack of communication and things like that, then that needs to be addressed in itself, right? You need to build up boundaries to help you with that, and that's why you have to take this time now to build those boundaries to help you to help you with communication with your partners. But with treasure your loved ones, I really feel like I really feel like with that, you have help available, not just in professional forms, but in love forms. You may not need to talk to anybody about it, but you at least know that you're loved and you're cared for, and that in giving, showing that there is love and passion and the tribe supports you may make you, help you shift your focus and help you see that there may be more emotional stability than you actually thought.